Welcome to Elliot's PT podcast. I'm here to help you find your balance and live your best life guilt-free. I don't believe there is a one-size-fits-all approach for health and fitness. We're all different and we need to find out what works for us. I'm passionate about helping people make realistic, long-term lifestyle changes that they will stick to and they will take with them forever. I don't believe in crazy diets or short-term fixes. We all need to live and find a perfect balance in diet and exercise that suits our individual needs. I want to help you find your exercise mojo, feel great and achieve wonderful things. Here is Elliot's PT podcast by Renee Elliott.
Hello and welcome back. So over the years, I've been a trainer for 12 or 13 years now, and I've met lots of amazing women and men, and, we've seen massive changes in people. And the thing that I'm most passionate about is helping people understand their body better and understanding them better, themselves better. So then the more of that you have, you can feel better about yourself. You can understand, you can stop blaming yourself, stop feeling guilty. But something that I really had to dig deep into myself to work out was really starting to understand where maybe some beliefs or thoughts had come from. And it's sometimes looking back into these things and recognizing that you have this belief, but maybe this belief about yourself isn't actually true. What happened is, there's people around us as we grow up, and they portray their views onto us. So nothing wrong with that. But then sometimes we take those views on to be true. And I might have views about certain things or beliefs, and the person next to me might be completely different. But what I really want you to start to question or start to about more or understand more is, what are some of the things that maybe you've been told about yourself as you've grown up? And is this something that you believe to be true still? And is it something that you want to believe as true? Because there's certain things that certain members of our family, there's people that I meet lots of members who have spent their years dieting, and they've dieting and they've been doing it because been ingrained in them since they were kids, that they were taught that we had to eat a certain way or taught that they had to do this, and maybe that way isn't the right way, or maybe there is a different way that would benefit you better. And that's what I want you to start questioning. And the biggest thing to start to recognize is some people say things and it's their belief. And it's their belief and they're putting that onto you. And that's not your problem, that's theirs. And it's taken me a long time to work this stuff out, a very long time. I am really trying hard to instill a lot of that stuff into my kids from a young age. My daughter came home the other day and she said that her little best friend had told her that she didn't look good. Now, my daughter's just turned 5, she turned 5 a couple of weeks ago. And she told her that, so for her ballet class or her jazz class, she wears little shorts and a little crop top. And her friend told her that her tummy didn't look nice in the crop top. And I said, I wonder why she said that. And she's like, I don't know. And I says, do you think your tummy looks nice? And she said, yes. And I says, well, that's all that matters. And I just said to her, after I said, you look just the same as your friend, which they do. I said, you look just the same as her. So if she thinks your tummy looks funny, then her tummy must look funny. I was just trying to get her to understand that it's something to do with their thoughts, not about her. Because I was like, you look exactly the same as her. You don't look any different, and I really want to instill these things into kids from a young age. Unfortunately, my son, who is just about to turn 9, last term at school was being picked on by other kids. And the thing that I'm most proud of him for is that he was being picked on and they started calling him fat. And my son's not fat at all. And they said that he's fat. And I said, And Cooper said, I'm not fat. He said, I'm muscly. And I was so proud that he had that confidence in himself to say that he knew he wasn't fat, and we talked about that, the things that you need to be strong and all of those things. So I was really glad that stuff that we've talked about in the past, and that he could voice it to me, that he's not taking that on as that he is fat. He understands that he's muscly and he's strong, and I really try to speak about, I'm very mindful because our life is filled a lot. We have a studio in our house, at the back of our house, so there's people coming in and out and exercising, but I always talk about exercise in a way of how it makes your body feel and how you can move better and how you want to be nice and strong. So we talk about it in that way. So I was really, really proud when somebody did call my son fat. He was able to say, I'm not fat, I'm really strong. And I thought that was great. Anyway, I'm totally diverging there. But what I want you to think about is, what have people told you about you in the past? And have you started to believe that? So as a child, or as a teenager, I remember getting told, everybody used to comment on my legs. So, and they were something that I was conscious of for so long. Somebody once said, my legs were like tree trunks. Because I don't have stick thin legs. I have quite muscly legs. That's fine. They are very strong and they're great and I love them, but it's taken me a long time to get to that point. That what these people were saying, you get a few people saying things and then you start to think, oh, is there something wrong with that? Is that different? And then you start to take that belief on about yourself. So, so it's starting to really question, is that really how I want to keep thinking? And really, those thoughts are about them. They're not about me. And these are the things that I'm trying to instill into my kids now, so that they don't take this stuff on for the rest of their lives or carry it for a long time like someone like me did. So, the other thing is, I always talked about myself and I always make jokes about having no boobs. I say I have no boobs and small chest and all of those other things. It was only a couple of years ago, I was interviewing my mum and my gran actually, and we were talking about body image. And it was then I had this big aha moment, because I had a family, an auntie that you call an auntie, but she's actually not. She's not an auntie, she's just like a family friend, but she's always around, you say auntie. So I had one of them, and it clicked in my head that she had commented to me how I had no boobs. Now, before she'd made that comment, I did have boobs. I just didn't have very large ones. But I didn't realize that there was anything wrong with the size. I thought everything was fine. And there is nothing wrong with the size of my chest. But it was obviously something that she valued. So she valued more of having a big chest. And I remember her saying, oh, poor you, you've got no chest. You've got no boobs at all. And I was like, oh, I didn't feel poor me. I didn't know there was anything wrong with it, but she did. And it was something that she thought was wrong, but that's something that was something about probably her body that she, that she either liked or didn't like or wanted or didn't have, I don't know, but that was her thought. But I then took that thought on and made it true about myself, and that's not true. So what I want you to do is I want you to start to think about things about your body. So what's some things about your body that you maybe don't like? And where did those thoughts come from? Why? Why did I not lock my thighs? What's wrong with having big, strong, muscly legs? What's wrong with that? And I took on, people keep saying, oh, your legs are like tree trunks and those things. I took that on to be bad. And it's not necessarily that way. And it's really interesting when you start to recognize, start to pay attention and recognize where did that come from? Where did this thought come from? And then we can look at reframing it or rechanging it, because this doesn't have to be your story anymore. It doesn't have to be your story that this part of your body isn't good. Why is it not good? Who says it's not good? And it's really important to try to start thinking that that's that person's problem, you know. And I say to my kids all the time, and this is something I'm really trying hard to instill in them from a young age, is if somebody, you know, my son and my daughter, we've just come back from school holidays. So over the school holidays, they spent a lot of time at the skate park, and these kids swore at them one day. So these teenagers swore at the kids, and they called Cooper a F and C, you know. So he's 8 now, just about to turn 9. And he came home that night, and he, you know, I wasn't there at the skate park, and my husband had him there at the skate park. He told my husband, but he said, Dad, please don't say anything. You know, so Lee didn't. When he came home and he went to bed, and he kept talking about it, and he kept saying, this kid said this. He goes, and I didn't do anything. I was just scooting, and, you know, and I might have got in the way, but I didn't mean to, you know. And I kept saying to him, I was like, Cooper, somebody that has to say something bad about somebody else, that's actually how they feel about themselves. And I have said this to him lots of times. But the good thing is, this time I said to him, what do I always say about when someone says something mean? And he repeated it back to me. And I was like, yes, he remembers. But the thing is that's what I want you to remember. If somebody has told you something about that's not good about your body, or that it's not in a, you know, that's made you not feel great about your body, that's actually, you've got to stop and think that's how they feel about themselves. Because they're the ones that's judging. They're the one that's judging, and you don't need to take that on board. Today, what we can start to do is we can start to recognize this, and we can put the stuff away. So we can recognize that that is their issues. That's how they feel about themselves. I'm choosing to not take this stuff on board anymore. And it can be really, really powerful if it can be really powerful if you can start to recognize it. You know, I didn't recognize, I always talked about my chest in that way, you know, and I didn't recognize that, that came from this family member, you know, all the way when I was like 16 or something, you know, and shame on her, you know, she probably didn't even do it deliberately. Nobody did. They wouldn't have done it, you know, but it's just like, you know, so I'm really mindful now of what the words that come out of my mouth, you know, but I'm also mindful of, if you feel a certain way about your body, you know, well, is it who makes you feel that way? So a big one is to look at family members. Other thing is society. You know, we look at magazines, take a walk around the shops, look in the shop windows. You know, look at on the side of buses. You know, that is making us feel and look. We should look or be a certain way. You know, and that the truth is, we just need to be happy. We just need to be healthy and happy and live a good life to how we want to live that life. You know, so stop judging our own bodies. Stop feeling bad about ourselves or hiding. You know, like I see lots of women that's like, I don't want to wear any sleeves. I want to hide my arms because they don't, you know, they're too flabby or something like this. But, you know, like, you're the one that's sitting there on a really hot day with a big bloody jacket on. You know, you're the one that's uncomfortable. Nobody's coming and looking at your arms because you're not important. You know, like they're too busy looking at themselves or thinking about themselves. You know, so your life's being affected from this. So let's start to think about the things that we have been told about ourselves in the past, and let's start reframing it. Get rid of those thoughts, and you know, like really work out where did that thought process come from, and you don't have to believe it anymore. It doesn't have to be the way. You know, you can really change and reframe those thoughts. I have a friend, when we went away in a group for a weekend, and we went away for a group in a weekend, and as soon as we got there, this other friend came up, and she started straight at me, bitching about somebody else. I didn't even know the person. So she started bitching. And I think my son had came up to do something, and she was like, I need to finish talking to mum. So she kept at me the whole weekend. And to be honest, I tried to avoid her because I just didn't want to be around it, you know. And I'd made a decision a while ago that I believe that anybody that has to say something nasty about someone else, is actually how they feel about them. And so that I want to feel good about myself, and I want to feel happy, and I want to lead a happy life. But by bringing other people down, it's not going to help me, and it's not going to help anyone else. So I've made a choice to not enter into any of those types of conversations. So when I'm in groups or with friends, and if people are starting to bitch or moan or say other things, I kind of just remove myself, because I just don't want to be part of it. I don't want to be part of it, and I don't want to bring myself down anymore. I just don't need to. I don't need to be, we all have enough stress and other things going on. I don't need more negativity about bitching about somebody that I don't know, and you know, they probably don't feel good about themselves either. So it's not a nice thing. So I made that choice a while ago. So we went away this weekend, and this is what this friend did. So then I found myself trying to avoid her for the rest of the weekend, because I just didn't want to be around her. And in the same group, there was this other friend, and I don't think I've heard one bad word about anybody out of her mouth. She's just not that way inclined. And it's so refreshing. It's so refreshing. And I always remember how each person made me feel when I spent time with them. And I want to be more like that. I want to be more like, I ensure that I don't want to saying those things. And what I'm asking you to look at is how things that have been said maybe about you or about people around you, or if you're around these kind of people that are bitching and moaning, how that starts to bring you down and affect your thoughts on your body. You know, because if you're around someone and they're saying not nice things about someone else, you're going to start to think, what do they say? You know, like, what do they say about me? When I'm not around them, it's human nature, that's what I think, that to think, well, if they're saying this about that, how do I not know that they're not saying this about me? So, you know, or if you're around someone from work and they're constantly speaking down about another employee, you know, eventually it starts to get you down, and it starts to bring you down and affect how you think about yourself, how you think about your body. So what I'm asking you to do is to start to take note of this stuff. Start to take note of this stuff and look at removing yourself from it and how it makes you feel. It's really, really empowering. So my tips for today is, number one, I want you to start thinking, do you have any beliefs about your body that have maybe been told to you from when you're a child? You know, like if you were told to eat a certain way, or you had to diet from a young age, you know, I want you to really think, where did that come from? And really start to think about it and dig deep, that possibly, you know, it's more to do with that person saying something to you than what it's actually to do with you. And that, you know, you can start to recognize this and put it away, you know, that it's not the way that you have to think about yourself anymore. And we can start loving, you know, each part of our body for what it is, because it's amazing and it's taking us through life and guiding us through, and it's the only body we have. So let's just cherish it. Let's cherish it. Let's love it for what it is, and stop spending time hating it. You know, like I said, those people that sit with jackets on or long pants because they want to cover themselves up. Well, you're the one that's bloody hot. You're the one that's, you know, uncomfortable feeling that way. Just be yourself, because, you know, what do I see when I look at people? I see the happiness that radiates out of them. And I admire those people, you know, people that maybe run and they start feeling like self-conscious running, or they think, when I see someone running down the street, I think, good on you, you're so amazing. I don't think, oh my God, look at their flabby arms, you know, none of that. I just think people are amazing. So, you know, the more that you portray that stuff out, you're going to get that stuff back. And so firstly, I want you to think about that, about what have you been told about the past, and how does that affect your life, how you think about your body, and maybe we could look at reframing these thoughts. And the biggest thing is just start to write it out and see what you come up with. And the other thing is that if we think about how we speak, who we are around, you know, how is that stuff influencing how we feel about our bodies, how we carry on our day. You know, my husband had a friend, and he was being quite negative, and my husband was actually like, I can't spend time with him anymore because he was speaking badly about his wife. And he's like, I just can't continue to listen to that. But so he was like enough to say, I need to move away from this person. So if you have any of those types of people in your life, you know, just think about how is that affecting your life and how you feel about yourself, because it can end up bringing you down too. And you're in charge, and we don't want this anymore. I want you to start to understand all these influences that are affecting us from all different angles, and how you can actually take charge and make changes to this to make you feel really good about yourself. So if you know anybody that you think this may help, make sure you share the video, because the more people that we can get out loving their bodies and loving themselves, the better.
Thanks for listening to the Elliot's PT podcast. I hope you have been able to find this information of use to you. If you know someone who might enjoy this podcast, please share it with them. And ensure that you subscribe so you can be the first to know when new podcasts are released. If you have the time to leave a 5-star review, that would be amazing, and it would be greatly appreciated. If you do so, please screenshot and share onto any of our socials and tag us. Then email the screenshot to hello@elliotspt.com, and we will send you a free gift to your inbox. Thanks so much. Have an amazing day. Speak soon.